Andy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Or is it morning?
Morning. Still morning.
It's still morning.
Straight out of the track. Come on.
I'm ready to race again.
How was your experience on 132nd scale race?
That was really fun.
Yeah? LMP,
really
scale autocars,
I mean,
NSR.
the cars seemed very forgiving.
Yeah.
And coming from really fast cars, I think you have a lot more time to react with these than the cars I race where you have to be like Super Yoda.
Yeah. We need to go around the corner and try to find a way where you press.
You have to see the opposite of the track and where your car is. But, it was really, actually a really fun experience.
Yeah, maybe you can use that one for practicing.
Who knows? Yeah, well.
It's completely different.
Need a different track. Need one of you guys on the East Coast.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, when are you putting one of these on the East
Let's
Coast?
open one.
Right by my house. Perfect.
East.
Just
Well,
a fantasy.
Well, it's possible. I don't know.
Or I'll just move out here. Make it easy.
There we go.
There we go.
Maybe that will be easier. Well, the whole thing about raceway is that it's very hard to make any sort of a profit out of it.
Right.
And I think we use more to promote slot car racing than actually make money. Like if you see the number of people that we have working here, the facility, it's never going to be worth it. If somebody tomorrow decides to open a raceway 132nd scale, I think it's going to be very hard to keep up.
This is what every raceway strives to be.
Yeah. That
no matter what scale of racing they're doing, the way you have everything set up, everything is very organized. You have a following of some great people. Again, this is the first time I've been here, but you have a good selection of guys, and everybody's very nice. Everybody's very courteous. The track is amazing. Thank you for lending me a car.
That was Todd, not me.
That was
Yeah, I managed.
You helped.
Yeah, I managed, but yeah, we were a guest.
But everything was, I was really, again, I'm coming from racing totally different kind of car to this, and it's actually really fun. I learned how to race on a flat 220 Engelmann that was actually custom fit at Elmsford Raceway. I started there when I was 7 years old at a birthday party. So that was
25 years ago.
Yeah, 25 years ago. I'm not that old.
I heard one that says, I just turned 35 back in 2010.
Exactly. That's what they were telling. When I rode the bus the other day at the event I was at, they said, this bus is brand new in 1985. So I'm reusing that one. That was a good one.
So I have a couple of topics that I want to go with you. The first one is, of course, you're the newest road champion. Like less than a month ago, you were there.
Yeah.
I was
very fortunate.
And I wanted to talk about how did you end up in LapMaster, but people don't know that you're the voice of LapMaster.
Squeeze them.
So I want to talk about that. But first, since you brought up that your first experience with slot cars was at 7 years old, can you tell more about that? It was a birthday party.
It was a birthday party at Elmsford Raceway in 19... And it was kind of, let's see, let me just think of what genre of slot racing. That was kind of when the thingy cars, it was, let me just think. Yeah, it was in the 70s, in the 1970s, where slot cars kind of would, the fast cars were kind of in a lull because it was really big in the 60s. It kind of in the 70s had, I guess it's like a roller coaster or a hula hoop.
Yeah.
It was kind of out of in the 70s, and then it started to slowly make its way back. And then the 80s, in 1984, we had the World Championships at Elmsford Raceway, which was a very, very unique track. It was built to fit this basement facility that it was in. And it had 9-inch radius turns because in 180-degree flat or almost off camber, 9-inch radius turns, just because it had to fit in between these pillars in the wall. So it was a big track with a 60-degree bank. Okay, huge track, and but most people were learning how to drive on a King track, and I learned how to drive on that track. So I basically started racing with like Jim DeFalco was my weekly guys. And a lot of people don't know Ray Callio, but he was a local, and he was an amazing chassis builder. And that was back when you had to make your chassis out of a piece of spring steel. You had to cut them out. So Ray had these amazing, innovative ideas. He was an engineer, and he would do these things where the rear supports, he would cut them flat, heat them up, and then bend them up to support the axle was really amazing. The work he did was really cool.
And that was back in the 80s, you say?
That was back in the 80s. So 1984.
So we were already doing wing cars there.
Yeah. Okay. So we'd race weekly. They'd have, like Elmsford would have Womp Racing on their figure 8 track. Each track there was named after a famous race car driver. So you had the Hawthorne, which was their figure 8, named after Mike Hawthorne. You had the Deportago, which was in the back, and then you had the Nuvolari, which is the track I raced on, named after the Italian driver Tasio Nuvolari. And that track, I raced every single week. I never got into trouble when I was a kid. I was not one of those bad kids. I spent my entire life at the slot car track. Mom would drop me off there and pick me up, when they closed, because pretty much when they were ready to kick me out. So, 1984, I TQ'd and won a Group 27 race at 18 years old. And it was really, we had a lot of entries back then. We had people from all over the world. I remember that was an amazing experience for, I was, 18 years old as a young kid back then, but I was able to. Did
you ever work with slot cars? Did you have a job at the raceway? Or
I did some work back in the day with Jim DeFalco on controllers. I also worked with him at another job he hired because he knew my technical skills, so we worked that. I did do work with Cayman Racing in Maryland for a while.
The purple guys.
So I'm still purple on the inside. No matter what happens the rest of my life, I'm purple.
It seems to be like that because I know that Deo Yamashita, he still uses purple all around.
I may be racing some other
equipment. What kind of drugs those guys are sharing with you?
You know what's funny? Personally, I've never done any drugs in my life.
Okay, not even with the Cayman?
Nope. And I can say that I'm probably the only one. I can't speak for anybody else.
So you're going to throw out the other guys on the bus?
I know nothing.
Okay, good.
I see nothing. I don't. If I have a drink once in a while, it's a lot. But I don't need that stuff.
I don't do drugs too. But then I met Carlos.
Then you met Carlos.
Too
many caipirinhas.
Then I had to do it. Yeah, talk about this Portuguese of yours because we keep throwing Portuguese words. That's from Google. That's from who?
I've been going to Brazil for over 30 years now.
Just for the races.
Slot car racing brought me to Brazil.
Okay.
And I absolutely love it. I love the people. I love the culture.
Do you remember when it was the first time? 90s?
90s.
Oh, probably Americana, the Brazilian championship.
Gugu had a world championship on Rua Augusta.
Okay.
And when he had his raceway there.
Okay.
But I remember we went to, I've been to Campinas.
Rua Augusta, famous for the red light district.
No, that's the high rent district. What do you mean?
Sure. Sure.
It was a tight spot, but it was a wonderful location. We raced in Ribeirão Preto. We raced in Rio. There was a raceway in a parking garage.
I remember that.
In Shopping North.
I remember that.
You remember that.
There was not a king track.
It was a king track.
It was a king track?
Yeah.
It's like kind of orange.
I don't remember, but that was really fun. Rio was really a wonderful
and the
place.
walls were kind of like opposite partition walls.
It basically was a parking garage that they just put windows in.
Yeah, with
part of the parking
opposite partition walls between the pillars.
Yeah, pretty much. That was really fun. I mean, for me, slot racing is great. I love meeting new people. I love learning new cultures. I love to travel. I travel all around the world now, and some of it is not for slot cars.
Okay.
Most of it is.
Good. The last time that you traveled was Tuscany?
I was too busy to go to that.
Oh,
I wanted to go. I wanted to go. They asked me to run to help run that race
because you run the Atlantic City one, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And the organizers, wonderful guys.
I still don't believe the wives allow them to do it because they go there. It's a casino. They rent the ballroom and say, I'm going to stay here for 20 days straight. Yeah, we're good. Don't worry about us.
I think the wives were happy to come because shopping is right there.
Okay. Some they come.
Yeah,
They probably by this time they probably have an association to take care. Oh, this time you guys go. So they have like 5 wives going there and checking everybody else, and then so you guys probably don't know that.
Atlantic City was really fun. It was an enormous amount of work. We had like 120 entries, whatever. We had a lot of entries. The organizer did an amazing job. Everybody was happy. I mean, he made sure it wasn't for him. This one wasn't. He didn't do it to make money. Some people do this to make money. Some people do it for national pride. some people do it to, really just have amazing experience for the racers.
So for that race, the organizer needs to find a place.
Yeah.
Right? He needs to defend that the place is good for it because they're going to vote for it. He has to order a track, a full track, install the track, test the track as a crazy man, receive 120 people to race like 4 or 5 classes, including a team race.
We had a little problem when we were organizing this race called COVID.
Shit.
Okay? So this race was 9 years in the making. Okay? Because when COVID hit, because this is it was 23. It was supposed to be in 21 or 20, whatever, 20 or 20. My brain doesn't work at this point. 20. So it got pushed back. I think it got pushed back 2 years. So I think it was 21. And you saw how it said border open, border closed, border open, border closed. Nobody comes in.
I remember that,
How many? 25 times in a row. Things got canceled and changed. So we basically got to a holding pattern because I remember what happened was in 22, we held the race in Latvia because he was supposed to get 23. So we did kind of a swap and so it all, or 24, whatever. I don't remember what year it is. So we had Latvia got sandwiched in there. Janis Nabokin's organizer. So that went well. That was actually 23, 22, whatever it is. We had one mixed in there. And it's but the race, we worked really, really hard. Mike Isles really got a great team together to organize that event. And the first one of these I ran was in 2000 in Helsinki. So
I heard about that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and I did a majority of them since then. I don't do it's a lot of work to give up 3 weeks of your life to run a slot car race for people. Yeah. When you basically I don't do it for money. I donate my time. I just say cover my expenses. I'll come do it for you. I can't put a price on doing this. I do it for the racers.
And apparently it was very popular because you guys have over 120 racers there.
They limit it to 120.
Okay.
They actually stop it. They could. There would be more. So Israel is incredibly popular for what it is. I mean,
but don't you believe that it's just for a small group of people that is very hard to get in?
It is.
Yeah, right. So it's a very small and united group of people.
Well, let me look at it this way. You have some people that are always going to be at the top. It's incredibly hard to maintain that top position year after year after year after year.
And now you have Dominica's with 2 years.
You have Dominica's just moving up the ranks. But there are guys that went, Mr. Wojcik, okay, he basically kind of stopped racing when he was at the top. So you can say, okay, I'm done. Or I don't know if he's done, but he maybe, some people's lives take a different direction or whatever. You have whatever reasons.
He pulled a Nico Rosberg.
In a way. But there are some people that race slot cars that do it just to race. They're never going to be at the top.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all the aspects of all the skill levels of all the racers across the board because there's some people that just are there for the experience.
But even if in a closed event of 120 people, you have that kind of level. You have people who are just there to participate.
They're never going to. They're just some people. I don't want to say they're there to participate, but their skill level is never going to be something or access to equipment. There's some people that over year after year, some of them improve a little, some of them improve a lot, but I'm going to say a majority of the people are just they're there. They're there for the experience. It's a wonderful experience. It's a great social experience.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean. A lot of these, It's so much work to race. I like to hang out with people and have fun. Yes, I'll race once in a while.
This is kind of the spirit that I try to bring here to the big races that we have. We have 3 big manufacturer races: the Nassar one, the Skillwater, the beginning of the opens the season, and then you have the Nationals, which is limited to 75, and has been sold out for 3 months. And people sometimes complain to say, "Oh, we're gonna be there Saturday just for qualify and Sunday to race, and if I'm not good, they're gonna only race like 18 minutes." I say, yeah, but it's not about the time that you're over there racing. It's about the whole experience and meeting people, knowing more about your hobby, learning, a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that well. So I'm always trying to put a secondary event like, we're going to have a team race on the other track.
That's
I'm
nice.
going to do something. But it's not about it. It's about to be here, bring your stuff, do your best, have the pressure on your 18 minutes.
And there are some people who want nothing to do with anybody else. They're focused on the racing.
Yeah.
it's the human condition, which
Yeah.
is it's fine. We know this. We have all types of racers, so I appreciate the human condition in every aspect of slot car. But everybody's different.
Yeah.
You know?
I just came from the 24 hours in the month.
Right.
I did the Segundo one in Spain, which we shared the team with Slotcars, which is a club in Spain that brought 3 drivers, and we brought 3 drivers from here. Right. And then 2 weeks after, I had to come back to Italy to do another 24. And then we went there 2 teams. Completely different experiences. But I can see what you're saying on the teams. There are guys super serious that they want to even talk to you. And there are guys who are just there for the party. The team that ended up in last, Michelle from home, they called the Jamaica Boys or something like that, and they have wigs all the time, and they have.
I love it.
They made me take pictures of them doing this.
Oh my goodness!
So it's a social event. I think those big races.
Yeah. It has to be because there has to be a social aspect of the whole thing. It's, some people like to do party hard and this. I mean, personally, I don't even drink. I mean, I have a couple of drinks and I'm good.
That's it.
But I like to hang out and meet people and learn cultures and play with slot cars.
So as I told you, we were planning to do with NSR the Monitron car, and I heard that you had some.
Car. Oh, Jean-Pierre.
I heard that you have some experience. with Jean-Pierre.
I won one of his races in 1980 in Chicago. It was Group 27. So actually 88 I won U.S. Nationals and the Worlds in Group 27. Then I kind of said, okay, I'm done with Group 27. That's wing car stuff. Yeah. And then I kind of, I moseyed on into Group 7 racing. I really liked Group 27 because I was good at it, and that was what I put all my
micro motors.
It's 38 turns of 27 gauge wire, and we had 2 magnet motors, and that's kind of what it was. And then it's evolved into other things now. But now that's funny. They have this class called 27 Light, which is effectively the same thing with steel chassis. So it's kind of reverted back to that, and that's one of the most popular classes now. Because
that class, the 27, would still went the same way, like for almost 8-9 years. Because I remember having one of those cars back in '94 in Brazil.
The Brazilians started that class, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, I think it was started in Brazil, 27 Light.
But the motors are made by Kofort, right?
Motors are made by any Group 27 armature manufacturer. Okay. So,
I remember having one of those at the store, and everybody, what the hell is this? Oh my God, it's so fast. I'm going to put it on the track. Everybody coming to see it.
It's just, it just kind of grew out of what there used to be armatures called Group 20 armatures, which is machine wound.
Bigger ones.
Machine wound 38 turns of 27 gauge, same thing.
Okay.
And just the Group 27 was a hand wound version of that. And it just, they involved the armature blanks, technology involved, magnet technology involved. Yeah. And it's basically Group 7 Light in a way. But funny now, Group 27 Light is faster than regular Group 27 because there's so much development going into it.
Okay. How much is a car like that right now?
Depends who you buy it from. I mean,
if I want to buy one right now, who should I call?
Chubby.
Okay.
Chubby's the...
Chubby made all those...
Oh, my God.
He made all the cars for Kanye West. Kanye West, yeah.
Yes, he had that. Oh, yeah, that was something.
You participate in that?
I knew about it.
I heard that Gary Girding put one of the tracks together in a ranch in
I know. Wherever it was. That's Wyoming or...
Wyoming, yeah. Cody.
I don't think that exists anymore. Under his tutelage, or I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, Kanye had the fastest.
But it was really that was really cool. Well, I think what happened was let me say this. I won't name names. But some experienced racers went there to tune the track.
Okay.
Because they didn't know what to do with these cars, and you have to know, and so they had some interactions, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. It would have been cool, I guess, before things maybe got a little crazy, to have some kind of event there would have been neat, but it never happened. Not everything happens. So, yeah. So Van Rossum was an interesting character, colorful character,
But I didn't know that he was promoting races here in the West too.
Oh yeah.
I knew that he was flying people there.
He was flying, and I guess if you're a racer, maybe didn't have a lot of money, it was a great experience for you because. You'd get there and maybe your expenses were covered. Maybe they weren't. Maybe you had to jump through some hula hoops to get paid, or Maybe you were promised a car if you win, and if you win,
Maybe
they change their mind and give you some cash instead. And it was So I didn't, it was more theater,
Okay.
and circus combined.
But why he was doing this? What was the reason? Like he
Well,
wants to promote. He just
some
to
people
show
were.
off.
I think some legal people were saying that it involved when you get some money one way and.
Come on! Laundering money with the
I didn't
with
say.
slot
I said when
cars?
you get money one way and it goes another way, and I didn't say that.
Oh my God! So
I did not use
Carlos,
that
I
word.
told you we can launder money with slot cars.
There we go.
There we go. I've been telling you.
Typically,
Jesus.
if you
Brazilians being Brazilians.
typically slot cars, you turn a large fortune into a small fortune.
Yes.
That's the
what
promise.
happens.
That is the promise.
The fastest way to become a millionaire. Start a slot car racing way as a billionaire.
Yeah, as a billionaire,
And then you lose the money.
it is. You have to really love what you're doing and
Yeah.
love losing money. I mean, there has to be a love. There has to be some kind of love in doing
Well,
this.
I think the format is changing. Like in the 90s, you have, of course, in the 60s, early 70s, you have
There
those
was big money and sponsors, and some of those guys are still around, which is
in many
incredible.
raceways. Like according to Philippe's book, we have over 3,500 slot car raceways in America.
Yeah.
That's more than Subway restaurants today.
Can you believe it?
Every
That
corner,
was
every
because there
corner,
were no
everybody was doing it.
iPhones, there were no video games, there was none of that stuff.
Internet.
Internet,
Basically
My goodness.
internet. But I think people were still doing it. I think the cars are much reliable. Like the car that you just raced, you had fun, right?
Unbelievable.
$90.
I know.
99
Can't
bucks.
beat that.
Of course, you change a part or two, but that's it.
Yeah,
And people are doing this at home now, like with the plastic tracks.
and it looks like a real car.
It looks like a real car.
It's really.
No, the car that you race is probably racing Le Mans right now as
Yeah.
we speak.
I know.
They race a Porsche 963
Yeah.
from Scale Auto.
I mean, who knows what I'm going to see next week at Watkins Glen? That's different cars, but
different
they look
cars, yeah.
similar. But
You have the Porsche T-shirt today, but I think it's changing. Like, of course, we don't have the real estate to have the raceways in every corner, but people are doing it at home. People are doing it at clubs.
yeah,
There's a more concentrating group in the same track like we have here. So it's a different way to enjoy. I hate when people say, "Oh, the golden era is never going to come back."
everybody loves slot car racing because literally, I mean, you can, like I said, when Bob Scott sets up a track at a fair,
Not a fair. Yeah.
everybody's drawn to it like ants to sugar.
Yeah, Bob has been a great ambassador
Yeah.
showing the stuff
Yeah,
for new
Bob's
people.
man, really. I remember running into Bob in the '90s when he would. Right now, the county fair going on in San Diego, he was there. I remember there he is,
Yeah.
and there's people lined up to go race.
Yeah.
I saw him there. I saw him up in Santa Barbara once. So yeah, he was.
We used to do here, like we're gonna do every 2 years now, the swap meet. So
Yeah.
Father's Day swap meet. So we open up the side of the store. People bring their stuff to sell.
Are you doing that tomorrow?
No, this
Okay.
year we decided not to do. We're gonna do
Okay.
every 2 years, so people can accumulate things to sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy who bought your car, Todd,
Yeah.
he came here for the first time because of that swap meet.
How about that?
Yeah, and then we have many people like Ryan that came second. That was
James.
here because of James. Like probably the whole grid
Right.
came here because we made flyers and we go around the neighborhood. So look, we have a Slotcar track. On this Father's Day, it's going to be free track. You're going to have like giveaways and stuff like that.
So that worked.
Yeah,
that's great.
that works. So
Whatever you can do to
should be
promote
doing
slot
tomorrow,
cars.
but we're not doing. let's do it tomorrow. No, I decided to do every 2 years, especially because this year we had this whole renovation and it took a lot of time of us, so we're
Right.
still kind of behind from those almost 2
I
months that we
understand.
stopped, and we have new people working here, so we're kind of organizing the back part of this electric dreams, but we're
Right.
gonna restart doing those events.
This place is amazing. You guys really.
Thank you very
you know,
much. Yeah.
really, I could.
Coming from someone who
Well,
racing more than 200 tracks.
I've run raceways. I know it. I know how to. I know how to run a business, and yeah, I mean, it's really.
Yeah.
Hats off to you.
Thank you. No, for me, for everybody. Everybody
It's,
was working here.
no,
The
it's
Scott. Yeah.
people don't realize how how amazing this is.
Yeah.
It's
It's easy to come. Cars are easy. Rules are very
Yeah.
clear. You
again.
get
I've never ever raced one of those before. So
look at
I
us.
can't.
Look at us.
I know.
How proud we could be. Yeah, we can be proud about that. Look at that. There's a world champion coming here and racing. Where's that?
Different. Slot cars are slot. It doesn't matter. It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah, we have a couple people who came here to race for like Chris Radish.
Of course, yeah. Chris
Paul,
used to live
Paul
out here.
Garowski.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Paul's like incredible.
Paul's
Paul's
incredible.
incredible.
Paul raced with me the 24 hours in
Yeah,
Italy.
I saw that.
So he comes around, and I'm deciding who's going to race what, so, right? So
Right, what time of day, who's going to sleep.
Who's going to sleep, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm doing this whole spreadsheet, which is crazy because we have 4 tracks. They're actually 2 tracks, and they're mirrored.
Right.
So 2 tracks going that way, 2 tracks going that way. And then we have, same as here, we don't have a bridge, so you know that the ones close to the edge,
Right, you have
they're
different-
shorter and
different
faster.
length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say, okay, let's put the experienced guys to outside because they can just run laps and not get frustrated to be overtaken every time. And then Paul was kind of the guy, okay, he's experienced, but he's also fast. We're going to put him. So I decided to put him every time to the same direction. Which
Paul you can put anywhere.
Which at the end of the day didn't work because we have problems. But he ran the first 3 heats, 45 minutes each. Haven't crashed once.
That's Paul.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I was marching, looking at him, just
Paul's
sometimes
like
he stopped the car and did this, but just keep going.
Right.
What the hell was that? And it was like probably the second or
These
third.
Paul probably really enjoys this because I mean the Isra cars are so fast now. It's like the Group 7 without wings. I mean that's really what it is with this brushless stuff. It's crazy.
As fast as hell.
But not everybody wants to go that fast.
Yeah.
You know? I see it. I mean, I've been involved through the evolution of these things, and I've seen what they've become.
Yeah.
And
a crash can cost a lot.
Yeah, when you have $600-700 slot car, you know, although now these motors the chassis are much more technical than anything else. The motors are pretty simple.
And they're reliable now.
Because they don't. Yeah, typically we saw that evolution happen in real life in Atlantic City when you had basically that was the first time
they share, right?
You had different so that was when we knew that everybody was going to go to brushless.
Yeah,
you know,
when
after
Andrea and Piero brought their NSR super expensive that nobody couldn't understand. I said, look, this is
Dominicus
handmade.
was so what actually happened because I directed that race, I directed the final. You know, Dominicus was incredibly fast, but everybody also the other gamble that everybody makes is with tires. So you start your tires as small as possible. You basically say, am I going to go with 1 pair of tires for 40 minutes or am I going to have to change partway through? And then what people will typically do is right near the end of one of the heats, let's say there's 10 seconds left in the heat.
Stop the car.
You stop your car and you change your tires. You can't, when the heat ends, you can't be working on the car. Mm-hmm. So you try to gamble to change, get your tires changed before the heat runs out, and then you're ready to go to the next heat. Mm-hmm. And then you haven't, so...
But do you have a race director looking at them like you need to stop doing it? But they still are like 1 or 2 seconds there, right?
No, we're super strict.
Okay.
You get penalized instantly if you work on the car in between heats. Instantly.
So where did you change the tires? If you take the car 10 seconds after,
because you do it right in front of you. Everybody's watching. There's cameras. Everybody's watching.
But you go to your pit box or do it right away on the track.
No, you do it right there. If you're the racer, mm-hmm. you do it right in front of you. And if you have the pit person do it, which they don't, there's a maybe an 8-foot section on the track called the hot pit.
Yeah. And
you can stop the car there, and they do the work. They do the work off the track right there, but the car doesn't leave the track.
But as soon as the track stops, you need to.
That's it.
And then someone picks up the car and put it back on the track. Or
basically,
if you haven't finished,
you can't. There's no work. There's only a few things you're allowed to do on the car in between each. You can push the pins in. You can adjust the braid with your fingers. That's it.
So you can't touch the car
and change the lane. Yeah, there's no work in between heats at all.
Okay.
And it's watched very, very carefully. Everybody's watching everybody. Yeah. That's just how it is. So it's basically all work on the car is done during race time.
Do you think in a race that size with people like you taking care of it, do you still have some sort of a cheating around?
Well, everybody's watching.
Yes.
Everybody's watching everybody. Because remember, I see a lot of, I'm going to say nationalism. So you have the Italians watching the Brits and this, and the people watching the Czechs, and so it's almost like that. I see that. I don't know why it is. Like Americans don't, we're Americans. We don't do that. But there's an interesting, each country seems compartmentalized in terms of who they're watching. Yeah. I don't know how or why, but it's just how it is. So I observe everybody. But it's not just me watching. I'm at the computer. We have lots of people watching. So that's just how ISRA works. And it seems pretty, of course, somebody can try to cheat. If they get caught, it's very embarrassing.
Yeah. And it's a small group. Everybody knows their name.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you saw in Italy. I wasn't there. I wasn't involved with that. But
Well, a bunch of stuff. The thing that caught me most was that there was do want to say? Just one thing. There was the British came to me because they couldn't communicate very well with the race directing, Paco and everybody else, and they saw me arguing for full heats with them.
Oh.
And then they came to me to say that the car crashed, and there's like a team that was like 2 positions behind them, and it was at nighttime because all the lights are dark.
I understand.
And the guy picked up the car and pushed the brakes and put it back.
Yeah, that's really dirty.
They saw it.
They saw it.
Yeah,
that's unsportsmanlike. That's unfortunately you're gonna find that in slot car racing.
Yeah.
If I see somebody do that, boy, I will.
Yeah, we have to.
Won't end well.
Yeah,
because everybody knows I'm like with a whip when I run these things.
Yeah.
If anybody ever did anything like that, I'd just say pack your stuff and go home.
Yeah.
Marshals for the marshals.
Marshals for the marshals. When I was a kid, I used to go to a raceway in Brazil called Portland.
Mm-hmm.
The owner, Luis Martins, which is still around, he still has a raceway, smaller one, but I think he's in another state now. He used to be so strict, like in a way that he was almost rude with you. During race day, you cannot even touch this guy. Give him the car, have 5 seconds, I'm going to do that. And it's going to be like, okay, I feel like in a military camp, but worked. Everybody respected, nobody cheated. We have like, after the races, you're going to open up all the cars. You get your car back in a bag.
Right. We had Israel to that point. So and everybody, nobody had anything bad to say.
Yeah.
Somebody would always try to pull something here or there. Oh, this is not the rules. I'm going to try this. And then we'd have to have another rule to cover that.
Yeah.
So people would always try something. And, there's some people who basically their skill level is never going to get them to the top. And they're always going to try something. But then it's like, okay,
Yeah. We have a very nice rule book. And all the 10 classes that we have, not counting 124 scale stuff, it's very restricted on what you can use. So you can only use that kind of guide. You can only use that kind of motor. So the car itself, it's very restricted. And that's based not only on what works better for the track, because we've been doing this rule book for 5 years now,
sure,
but also what is available commercially. You mentioned that some people at Israel, they don't have access to some of the products.
Well, if it's a product, see what has happened now with Israel, the production class is basically almost everything is a handout part.
Okay.
So you get a bag of parts. You have a limited amount of time to build. The tires are handout. The bodies are handout. The chassis are handout.
The painted bodies are handout.
Painted bodies are handout.
Oh.
Yeah. So what happens is the way they do it now is you pick a number between 100 and whatever, and then you just pick a bag, and it's in a sealed bag. You don't see the color of the body till after you get it. You don't know what the paint job is until you open the bag.
So no sponsors for you. You cannot have sponsors. Like you race.
You can. You could. You just put them. But you have to have the numbers. Obviously, the body has to. They're very, very strict within a millimeter of where you cut the bumper and the back and the sides. Everything is incredibly strict with Israel.
That's another thing. Like this group is so talented, so skilled, because just to put a body on a 124 car, it's
huge.
Hard. Yeah.
And then literally when you go the biggest part of an ISRA race is production technical inspection. That takes like hours. Because once you get through, because everybody's basically built their own car, you have a driver's handbook, you have a checklist. Oh, does this fit? Does this fit? Does this fit? And I'm going to say half the people fail that, even though yes, I measured it. It's this. But it has to get through the ISRA certified tech tools. ISRA has very, very specialized, exactly accurate tech tools.
Mm-hmm.
And
if it doesn't pass,
it doesn't pass. It doesn't matter what your meter reads. It matters what the ISRA official equipment reads. And that stuff is made. It's very expensive, made to incredible tolerances. It fits or it doesn't fit. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So
we try to do something here, especially on the big races. Yeah. You receive at home a schedule when you need to come and tech. And it takes like 10 to 15 minutes each car. So it's a long line here during Saturday morning, so people can bring the cars on. And again, we're racing plastic.
Right.
You receive in your house a sealed motor.
Okay.
the wheels are anodized, so you cannot like sand it on top. And tires are the same for everyone, and it's rubber. You can do whatever you want. You can work whatever you want on it, but it's the
So you
same.
can't. I mean, nobody's going to take the rubber off and put different rubber on.
No.
I've seen that.
No, because it's marked on the molds.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, and the sealed motors, as long as nobody
Seal
can,
motors, we have to develop a seal.
as long as nobody can get into those.
Yeah, and someone asked me, no, I have in my house actually. Someone asked me because they want to adopt somewhere else, and it's marked as Electric Dreams. And I say, oh, how did you do that? I need to do something. Yeah, I had to do 30,000 of it because it was the minimum order. I still have it. Yeah, and I cannot share because those are mine. So
Understood.
Yeah.
It's it really comes down to honesty when you really imagine that.
Yeah.
Being a good citizen, being a good racer, a fair racer, not having to rely on having to do things.
Yeah, and especially because here we have people coming from Australia, people coming from Germany.
So people trusting that everybody is, it's like the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know, it is the Olympics
Yeah.
of slot cars.
Paralympics. Andy, tell me more about the Jean-Pierre stuff, because we want to...
Which stuff?
The Jean-Pierre stuff.
So actually it's funny, talking about Jean-Pierre and Isra, he was part of the beginning of what became Isra.
Okay.
I give him credit for being part of the catalyst that formed into what Isra is. And I think he also, as Isra really grew, because he didn't really have control of it it was Charlie Gooding where it was involved. I mean, just a lot of the guys. Yeah, Charlie Gooding was part of it. He was the Isra director for many, many, many years at the beginning. It started out in the '90s, in the early '90s, I guess, and then it got more and more popular. And it was simple because it was just a few classes. We're not having 65 classes and this and that, and the raceway selection where the race would go was always like 2 years in advance.
Okay.
And it just kept getting more popular.
When
more
it started to have your own tracks built for the event? When that started? Because you used to go to raceways, and the raceways are
Correct.
not around anymore. So when somebody decided,
guess,
you know what, to go to rent a hotel.
Let me say this: raceway owner or promoters, raceway promoters, were doing it to gain. Maybe take away some home track advantage, gain some new interest.
Yeah,
people will come to practice. I mean, it's been done so many different ways. There's been roadblocks in the way in a lot of these places. There's always a home track advantage if you're a local.
Yeah, people say that same here. But yeah,
if you race on the track every week, you have some advantage.
Yes,
I'm going to say.
Well, to set up the car, to learn the track.
Yeah, and to know when there's a lot of people in there, where the conditions change, when the tires change. Obviously, if you have handout tires, it's different, but. Yeah, there's definitely some kind of home track advantage if but I've seen it where you do all that preparation and the local guy totally blows it when they have a big race. Some people don't like big races. Some people don't do well at big races.
Oh, we have several locals here who are not involved at all, just because that's too much for me. 2 days.
Every human being has different stress levels they want to be involved in. Yeah. Some people, it's just overwhelming to have all those people, Yeah. And then the track conditions totally change when you have a big race.
Yes.
Totally change.
Yes.
And they'll change throughout the day. Throughout
the day.
Qualifying. Like with Isra, I've seen with Isra, you'll get halfway through production qualifying and suddenly the track gets slippery. So, and with other classes too, just with just the temperature of the air, the amount of people, the soldering irons heat up the air. There's so many factors. People they're breathing out vapor. All those little things make a huge difference with the track conditions. And that's how you get seated for your heats. So I've actually seen it where you have like Dominicus, for example, he'll be, because basically the way Isra works is the top racers are the last to qualify. I've seen the track be absolutely almost undrivable when you're at the last bunch of racers. So these guys have to pull out all the stops. I mean, watching these guys race, it looks like they race at about 70% speed and they're faster than 95% of the racers. Yes. Or 80%, they're that good. So when they have to pull out that hat trick, they can do it when they need to.
Yeah.
If you have to race at 102%, all your racing, you're going to crash all the time. So
yeah, there's some amazing people out there. Yeah, I raced by Dominica's side on the 24 hours.
So with an equal car,
His was a little faster.
His was a little faster. He knows people.
He knows people.
He knows. He's got connections.
It was by the end of the race already, like the 28th heat or something, almost over.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun because he kept teasing me. I said, "Oh, you're number one." So, "Oh, you crashed." And "Oh, Mark, you're not a pro." So we kept teasing each other. Yeah. But it was fun.
No, those guys are great. That whole. Well, it's interesting. Now, also, the whole group that came out of what was. I mean, you got to remember back in when the wall came down, none of these, I remember racing with, there's a guy from Latvia named Jānis Rageragas, and I raced with him in '88 in Chicago at the Van Rossum World Championships, and these guys had to make tires out of old shoes back in the communist times. He was telling me the journey. He would tell me the journey he'd have to take to go from Riga to Chicago. I have to take a canoe to here and a bus and I have to row to this and that. He had to go through 16 places to get to Chicago. These guys were, obviously they were not competitive because they had no access to competitive equipment. And literally, remember, I hear the stories of them making tires out of old shoes. You can't use any of that Western imperialist stuff, So,
but that was kind of a Brazilian story too, because we couldn't import anything, and we started to do our things ourselves. That's why Paulinho and Gugu and this guy Zemario, those guys came up very handy for us.
And these guys are all at the top now.
Yeah,
you got the Brazilians are at the top,
and you guys
Czech guys
using their products,
and all these guys from these, these countries that are these new democracies.
Yeah.
Are really the top of the line. And what I think is really cool about like Latvia, for example, slot car racing is a class in school.
Yes, I saw that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The youngest group of racers are from the Baltic countries.
Russia too, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
They have a room in the school with a slot car track.
Oh wow!
How cool is that?
And the kids line up on the corridor, like with their cars to tack, and they race.
No way.
It's fixed inside of like two rooms, kind of. They kind of. I'm wrong.
It's beautiful.
Oh my god, very cool.
And they're not racing 1/32 $50 cars. They race like production 1/32 with micro motors and stuff.
So basically, the cream rises to the top. If you're, that's where you get your, like Latvia. I mean, I remember, Latvia had every racer there was like 15, 16 years old, and then you had Rageragas, old guy from the communist times. Whatever, he's a wonderful guy. Not super fast, but always there.
Yes.
I remember, I remember hanging out with him, met him in '88, and he's still at all the big races now. He organized several. We had world championships a couple of times in Latvia.
Nice.
And that he was involved in organizing, and but it was really because he's involved with. I think he was one of the people involved in getting these young kids to race, which I think is awesome.
Amazing. Well, every time that I see those pictures on Facebook, and I say, "Oh God, they're still doing that's pretty cool."
But even with all the crazy stuff going on, it's good that people can still race slot cars.
Yeah.
Because I think that is one of the amazing thing that brings people from all backgrounds together. It doesn't matter if you're a brain surgeon, an auto mechanic, or a hairdresser. You can all race slot cars together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all types, doesn't matter what political background you have.
Do you feel optimistic about the future
of what?
Of slot car racing?
Oh yeah, always. Well, yes? I do. Everybody's like, this. Well, I always do. I'm optimistic about everything and stuff. Like I'm not
Okay.
Anytime I can help promote slot racing, I do it. A lot of people have a different idea of what the future of slot racing should be. So, I personally, I'm involved in wing car racing. I do it a couple of times a year. I enjoy it, but I'm running company, so I don't have time to always do it. But anytime I can just be part of a slot racing event just to help it come out good, I do it because I think it's good for slot car racing in general.
You travel a lot.
I do. Yeah. Some of it is for slot cars.
How many hours a month?
I don't know.
No, never calculated.
I don't know.
Do you have a nice miles program?
I do.
I don't. I don't. I can't. People keep it like I try to do it. I have like 2,000 miles or something. That's nothing.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to stick with one airline, and it's I do live near a hub, so it's easy. I can take one flight and get almost halfway around the world in one shot. So
that's pretty cool. Wow.
Most of the way, So it's traveling with slot cars is also tough.
Okay.
because
Did you get any home court advantage racing at Port Jefferson?
well,
A little bit.
I had help from some of the best racers in the world. Let me say
Okay.
that.
You want to name some people? Chubby, Brad.
Brad Freisner, absolutely.
Does
100%.
Brad still holds the world record?
Absolutely.
1.2 something?
125. So he tried to break it a few weeks ago, and just to, sometimes it's there. The track was incredible.
Yeah.
That track was, oh my goodness, it was so, I almost couldn't do anything wrong. I drove really hard.
What it takes to be the winner in a race like that, where wing cars you're most gunning the whole time.
Well, you're not actually.
Okay, explain to me.
It's like this, but on steroids.
Okay.
Because it's still timing with these.
Yes.
But imagine if the timing has to be 10 times tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, I believe if you're racing with 8 cars on the track, you need
correct.
to.
If you literally are off by a quarter of a second or less, an eighth of a second, your car's in the wall, and it's one hit in the wall.
Wow.
These cars are so light, such high performance. It's turned into it's a pretzel because the car weighs 35 grams.
The whole car with the
Whole
wings,
car,
with the body.
whole car weighs 35. I'm just saying, there's cars that almost weigh that, because we have drilled out every single possible material we can. We drill the cans, we drill the gears. We're using hollow. I saw you guys had hollow axles. We have hollow axles with the gears molded on. We're doing everything we can to get rotating mass as light as possible.
Yes. Balancing everything.
And you're turning 1.5 second laps. So you can easily. All it takes is one hit. One hit. In fact, it doesn't even have to necessarily be. There was one of the guys from Australia, Ben Sclater. He was saying he just nicked somebody's car. He said, "Oh, I got lucky there," and then he came around and the chassis was bent. So it's really, there's a lot of luck. Some people are superhuman with how they drive, but sometimes you could do everything perfect and you're still unlucky.
Who do you think is the best slot car wing racer today?
In terms of what? In terms of
there's the guy to be admired.
Nobody. Don't see anybody do more testing than Brad Freisner.
Okay.
At least in the U.S.
Does he live in New York or?
He lives in Canada. He's in Toronto.
Canada, okay.
Yeah. He's also got a full-time job, so he has to do the Slotcars in between.
I saw him a couple of times here at Piranha.
Oh, Brad was here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 1 or 2 times I saw him.
Wow. I'm surprised he had time to come here.
Yeah.
He's works really, really hard running other businesses, So the Slotcars are kind of a hobby, but Brad's really he's able to see more things than a lot of people can't see in how a slot car runs.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Okay.
And he's able. That's why he's. You watch everybody race, and then there's Brad. Brad is. He's just on another level than most people. He's able to hear things, see things, know what things are going to do, and it's amazing. So I've been very fortunate being able to run equipment that he's set up. So.
And how do you think it's so hard to beat his 1.25?
Well, qualifying is a very special thing because you're on 16 volts. You have special tires, special motors, special everything just for qualifying.
You need to
just for
do
qualifying.
2 or 3 laps on top, and that's it.
A lot of people don't even bother qualifying. They're like, it's an art. It's an art. So Brad, you're either your commutator will either stay together or it's going to blow up.
Mm-hmm. Just thin layer of
and
brass.
you'll know on the first lap if that's going to happen. So
you don't even practice with that.
You have to take a few laps with it, but you don't know what it's going to do until you're right there. So, and then maybe your tires are, the car has to be tuned just for qualifying. It's so much that goes into qualifying. It's almost like it's a separate race, just qualifying.
Who qualified first when you won the championship 3 weeks ago?
Who qualified? Chubby TQ'd. I was second qualifier because basically with 2 motor open, you have to. It's different than regular Group 7 qualifying because you have to qualify the car as it's going to race.
Oh.
So then you basically qualify the car, it goes into Parc Fermé, and then you start the race. With Group 7, you get different qualifying runs and you can change stuff and do all this. You could not race a Group 7 qualifying car in the race.
That's
You have to. It's different axles, different this, different motor, different
Very interesting.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything is different. So it's a whole different art. But with 27 light and all the other classes, you qualify the car as it races, which makes it very easy. You qualify, park for May, race. Nothing. You can't touch the car.
Touch the car.
Car's lined up, 3, 2, 1, go. And amazingly, every record got broken by handout tires, which usually does not happen. Chubby broke the qualifying record. I broke the
Total laps.
total laps, and I also broke the 3-minute record. I actually did the most amount of laps on the hardest lane on the track, which is the craziest. I did 153 laps on red lane
In 3 minutes.
in 4 minutes,
4 minutes.
which is great. Nobody's ever done that. And I was like, oh my God. I obviously didn't fall off, but it was just, the track was so good. They did, Chubby and Doug Bauer did so much work getting that track where it had to be. It was really,
Me and Carlos, he says 1 year ago, but I think it's less than that. We were there in the East Coast visiting some vendors, and I remember on the night before, I checked my point A to the Port Jefferson track, and I spoke with Chubby. So we're gonna take 45 minutes to get there. I said, all right.
From where?
I don't know. It was like I checked in the morning. It was that at
You
the time.
thought Sao Paulo traffic was bad?
When I got there, it was 2 hours and 35.
Yes.
It was like 1 hour 50 more. I said, Chubb, I can't come. Like if I go there, I fucked up all my whole schedule, so I couldn't come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Long Island traffic is, well, you have New York City traffic to get through, first of all, then you have Long Island traffic.
Yeah.
It's like a bonus.
It's like a bonus. Next time we're going to stop by, make a priority.
Yeah, make it a priority. Spend the night out there. Come, I'll take you out of my boat.
Okay, good. Is there a slot car track there on the boat?
Nope.
Not yet.
Imagine that. Oh, there's an idea.
There's an idea.
Actually, you know what would be really cool? A cruise with a
cruise.
Okay, let's do the Israel. Next year there's going to be on the cruise.
Well, no. I think these would be actually amazing for that.
Let's do the Israel. Next year
No,
there's going to be on a cruise. We stop on the Caribbean.
I don't think they're going to allow the soldering irons.
The car just going, oh, what the hell?
I think that would be amazing. Just have, I don't know, it's just a dream, right? To have a
good idea. Yeah, good idea.
It's easy, easy, or even with
Can you imagine if the boat just goes in the right direction when you're doing the qualifying?
Imagine
and you
that.
just, oh my God, I went a tenth faster.
every turn is banked. Every turn is banked. Tell the captain. Anyway, thank you. Yeah.
Andy, thank you very much for coming. Thank you. It's a pleasure for us to provide you your very first 132nd.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Maybe you can come more. Maybe you can come for the big races.
I'll have 2,300 miles each way. No problem.
No, you're here sometimes. Maybe you have some.
I do have clients in Hollywood.
There we go.
So working in the entertainment business,
There we go.
But thank you guys for everything. We really had a wonderful time.
Thank you very much for coming. Hope to see you here more often. And now we're in touch.
First time here. First time at Electric Dreams.
There we go.
Now I can have eclectic dreams.
Eclectic dreams. Andy, thank you again.
Thanks again, guys. That was great.